The Han Dynasty, China's first golden age introduction. The Qin Empire had united China, but it collapsed almost as quickly as it had risen. Heavy taxes, forced labor, and harsh legalist laws pushed the population to its limits. Only a few years after the death of Qin Shi Huang, rebellion spread across the empire. The mighty Qin dynasty disappeared after ruling for just 15 years. Out of the chaos emerged a new leader. His name was Liu Bang, a man born into a humble farming family who would become one of China's greatest emperors. Under his rule, the Han Dynasty was founded, beginning one of the most remarkable golden ages in Chinese history. During the next 4 centuries, China expanded its borders, strengthened its economy, encouraged science and education, and opened trade routes that connected East and West for the first time. This was the beginning of Imperial China's true golden age. The rise of Liu Bang. Unlike most rulers of ancient China, Liu Bang was not born into royalty. He worked as a local government official before joining the rebellion against the Qin Empire. His greatest rival was the brilliant General Xiang Yu, one of history's most famous warriors. For several years, the two leaders fought a brutal civil war. Although Xiang Yu was considered the stronger military commander, Liu Bang won through patience, diplomacy, and the support of talented advisors. In 200 BC, Liu Bang became emperor and founded the Han Dynasty. He adopted the title Emperor Gaozu of Han. Rather than ruling through fear alone, Gaozu reduced taxes, eased punishments, and allowed farmers to recover after decades of war. His policies helped restore stability across China. Combining strength with wisdom, the Han rulers learned an important lesson from the fall of Qin. An empire could not survive through harsh laws alone. Instead, they combined the efficient government created by Qin with the moral philosophy of Confucius. Education became increasingly important. Government officials were expected to possess knowledge, discipline, and good character rather than simply noble birth. Although the famous civil service examinations would fully develop centuries later, the Han Dynasty established many of the ideas that later became the foundation of China's bureaucracy. This balance between strong government and moral leadership helped create centuries of stability. The expansion of the Han Empire. The Han emperors greatly expanded China's territory. Their armies defeated the powerful Xiongnu, a confederation of nomadic horsemen who frequently raided northern China. New provinces were established in southern China. Chinese influence reached parts of modern Vietnam, Korea, and Central Asia. Fortresses and military colonies protected the empire's growing frontiers. By the 1st century BC, the Han Empire controlled millions of people and had become one of the largest and most powerful states on Earth. At roughly the same time, another great civilization dominated the Mediterranean world: the Roman Republic and later the Roman Empire. Although separated by thousands of kilometers, these two superpowers would eventually become connected through trade. The birth of the Silk Road. Perhaps no achievement of the Han Dynasty changed world history more than the creation of the Silk Road. Around 138 BC, Emperor Wu sent the explorer Zhang Jin westward in search of allies against the Xiongnu. Although captured and imprisoned for years, Zhang Jin eventually reached Central Asia. His reports revealed entirely new civilizations, kingdoms, and trade opportunities. Merchants soon followed. Caravans crossed deserts, mountains, and dangerous valleys carrying silk, jade, paper, spices, lacquerware, horses, precious metals, glass, and countless other goods. The Silk Road became far more than a trade route. It allowed ideas, religions, inventions, languages, and cultures to spread across continents. For the first time in history, China became directly connected with much of Eurasia. Life inside Han China. Most people during the Han Dynasty were farmers. Families cultivated rice in the south and wheat or millet in the north. Villages became centers of daily life. Markets sold silk, pottery, iron tools, food, and handmade crafts. Large cities such as Chang'an grew into thriving capitals filled with merchants, scholars, soldiers, and government officials. Women generally held fewer political rights than men. Yet historical records also describe influential queens, scholars, poets, and businesswomen. Despite strict social traditions, daily life became increasingly prosperous compared to earlier centuries of constant warfare. The 4 great inventions begin. Many inventions associated with China either appeared or developed rapidly during the Han Dynasty. One of the most important was paper. Around 105, the court official Kai Lun improved the paper-making process by using tree bark, hemp, fishing nets, and old cloth. Paper was far cheaper than bamboo strips or silk. Knowledge could now spread more easily throughout the empire. Han scientists also developed advanced iron casting, improved water-powered machinery, accurate astronomical instruments, and one of the world's earliest seismometers. Chinese engineering continued advancing at an astonishing pace. Myth versus reality. Did silk make China rich? Many people believe silk alone made China wealthy. The truth is far more complex. Silk was certainly one of the empire's most valuable exports. However, China also traded iron tools, ceramics, lacquerware, tea in later centuries, and many luxury goods. Even more valuable than the goods themselves was the exchange of knowledge. New crops, technologies, artistic styles, and religious beliefs traveled along the Silk Road in both directions. The Silk Road became one of history's greatest networks of cultural exchange, the beginning of Buddhism in China during the later Han Dynasty. Another remarkable transformation began. Merchants and monks traveling along the Silk Road introduced Buddhism from India. At first, the new religion attracted only small communities. Over time, however, Buddhist teachings blended with Chinese traditions, including Confucianism and Taoism. Magnificent temples were built. Sacred texts were translated into Chinese. Eventually, Buddhism became one of the most influential religions in East Asia. Its arrival permanently changed Chinese culture. The fall of the Han Dynasty. No empire lasts forever. As the Han Dynasty grew older, corruption spread throughout the government. Powerful noble families accumulated enormous wealth. Peasant uprisings became increasingly common. One of the largest rebellions was the Yellow Turban Rebellion in AD 184. Millions joined the movement, believing a new age was about to begin. Although the rebellion was eventually crushed, the empire never fully recovered. Regional warlords gained power while the imperial court grew weaker. In AD 220, after nearly 4 centuries of rule, the Han Dynasty finally collapsed. China entered another age of division. Conclusion. The Han Dynasty transformed China into one of the greatest civilizations of the ancient world. It expanded the empire, opened the Silk Road, encouraged learning, advanced science, and established traditions that shaped Chinese society for nearly 2,000 years. Even today, China's majority ethnic group proudly calls itself the Han people, a reminder of the dynasty's lasting influence. But after the fall of Han came centuries of warfare, political intrigue, and legendary heroes whose stories would become some of China's greatest legends. In the next chapter, we will explore the Three Kingdoms, China's most legendary age of war. The Three Kingdoms, China's greatest age of heroes. Introduction. When the Han Dynasty collapsed in AD 220, China entered one of the most dramatic periods in its long history. The empire that had ruled for nearly 400 years shattered into competing kingdoms. Powerful generals seized entire provinces, loyal armies followed ambitious warlords, and ancient cities became battlefields once again. Yet, unlike many periods of war, the Age of the Three Kingdoms became legendary. It inspired one of the greatest historical novels ever written, created heroes whose names are still known across Asia, and produced military strategies that continue to be studied today. Some stories from this era are true. Others became myths passed down for nearly 2,000 years. This is the story of the Three Kingdoms. The empire falls apart. The final years of the Han Dynasty were filled with corruption, famine, and rebellion. The imperial court had lost control over its officials. Powerful eunuchs competed for influence while local governors raised private armies. The devastating Yellow Turban Rebellion weakened the empire even further. Although the rebellion was eventually defeated, many military commanders refused to surrender their power. China slowly fragmented. By AD 220, 3 major kingdoms had emerged. Wei controlled the north, Shu ruled the southwest, Wu dominated the rich lands of the southeast. Each believed it possessed the rightful claim to rule all of China. Cao Cao, the master strategist among all the leaders of the era. None was more feared than Cao Cao. He began as a government officer but quickly proved himself to be an exceptional commander and politician. Using discipline, intelligence, and careful planning, he united much of northern China. Cao Cao recruited talented scholars, engineers, and generals instead of relying only on noble families. He encouraged farming, rebuilt cities damaged by war, and strengthened his economy. Although later legends often portrayed him as a ruthless villain, many historians view him as one of the greatest statesmen in Chinese history. His famous saying reflected his ambition: "I would rather betray the world than let the world betray me." Whether he actually spoke these exact words remains uncertain, but they perfectly capture his reputation. Liu Bei and the Oath of Brotherhood in the south. Another leader inspired loyalty through a very different approach. His name was Liu Bei. Unlike Cao Cao, Liu Bei claimed descent from the Han imperial family. According to tradition, he formed a legendary brotherhood with two extraordinary warriors, Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. The famous Oath of the Peach Garden tells how the three men swore to live and die together in service of restoring the Han Dynasty. Modern historians believe this ceremony was probably fictional. It first appeared centuries later in the famous novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Even so, the story became one of China's greatest symbols of loyalty, friendship, and honor. Zhuge Liang, the sleeping dragon. Perhaps no strategist is more admired in Chinese history than Zhuge Liang. Before entering politics, he lived quietly in the countryside. Liu Bei personally visited his home 3 times before persuading him to become his advisor. This story became famous as 3 visits to the thatched cottage. Zhuge Liang developed military campaigns, economic reforms, and diplomatic alliances that helped transform the small kingdom of Shu into a powerful rival. Legends credit him with incredible inventions, weather manipulation, and supernatural intelligence. One popular tale claims he created wooden mechanical oxen, capable of transporting supplies automatically. While many of these stories are exaggerated, Zhuge Liang's brilliance as a strategist is well documented. The Battle of Red Cliffs in AD 208, one battle changed Chinese history forever. Cao Cao led an enormous army south, hoping to conquer the remaining kingdoms. Facing him were the combined forces of Liu Bei and Sun Quan. The decisive battle took place along the Yangtze River at Red Cliffs. Although Cao Cao possessed far larger forces, his enemies used superior naval tactics. They launched fire ships filled with burning materials directly into Cao Cao's fleet. Strong winds spread the flames rapidly across hundreds of ships. The northern fleet was destroyed. Cao Cao retreated. China remained divided for decades instead of becoming unified under a single ruler. Many historians consider Red Cliffs one of history's greatest military victories, achieved through strategy rather than numbers. Myth versus reality. Guan Yu. One of China's most respected historical figures is Guan Yu. He served Liu Bei with remarkable loyalty and became famous for his courage in battle. Centuries after his death, stories about him grew larger than life. Eventually, he was worshipped as the god of war. Temples dedicated to Guan Yu appeared across China, Korea, Vietnam, and Japan. Many business owners still display his image, believing he represents honesty and integrity. Although legends describe him as nearly invincible, historical records show he was a skilled but very human general. His reputation grew because later generations admired the values he represented. Life during endless war. While famous generals fought for glory, ordinary people endured unimaginable hardship. Entire villages were abandoned. Farmers became soldiers. Families fled advancing armies. Food shortages became common. Yet even during war, Chinese culture continued to flourish. Poetry, literature, medicine, astronomy, and engineering continued developing. Historians often describe the Three Kingdoms as a time when extraordinary creativity existed, alongside devastating conflict. The end of the Three Kingdoms. For nearly 60 years, Wei, Shu, and Wu fought countless battles. Eventually, the kingdom of Wei gained the upper hand. However, before Wei itself could reunite China, one of its own generals seized power. His family established the Jin Dynasty. By AD 280, the kingdom of Wu surrendered. China was finally united once again. The legendary age of the Three Kingdoms had come to an end. Conclusion. The Three Kingdoms lasted less than a century, yet its influence has endured for nearly 2,000 years. Its heroes became legends. Its battles inspired military scholars. Its stories shaped novels, films, television series, and video games around the world. Even today, names like Cao Cao, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhuge Liang remain symbols of leadership, loyalty, and strategy. But peace would not last forever. The Jin Dynasty soon faced internal struggles, invasions from the north, and another long period of division that would reshape China once again. In the next chapter, we will explore the age of division and the rise of the Sui dynasty. The empire reunited once again. The Sui and Tang dynasties. China's golden renaissance. Introduction. After centuries of civil wars, invasions, and political division, China seemed destined to remain fragmented forever. Powerful kingdoms fought for dominance while northern nomadic tribes established their own states across former Chinese lands. Trade declined, cities suffered, and millions longed for stability. Then, in AD 581, a new ruler emerged. His name was Yang Jian, later known as Emperor Wen of Sui. Within less than a decade, he reunited China for the first time in nearly 300 years. Although the Sui dynasty ruled for only a short time, it laid the foundations for one of the greatest civilizations in world history, the magnificent Tang Dynasty. Together, these two dynasties transformed China into the richest, most advanced, and most cosmopolitan empire on earth. The reunification of China, Yang Jian had served as a powerful general before taking control of northern China. Unlike many conquerors before him, he focused not only on military victory but also on rebuilding the empire. Roads were repaired, farmland was redistributed, taxes became more organized, government institutions were strengthened. In 589, Sui armies defeated the southern Cheng dynasty, ending centuries of division. For the first time since the Han Dynasty, China stood united once again. Many historians compared this achievement to the reunification of the Roman Empire, something Europe never fully accomplished. After Rome's collapse, the Grand Canal, one of the Sui dynasty's greatest achievements, was an engineering project unlike anything the world had ever seen. The Grand Canal, stretching more than 1,700 kilometers, it connected northern and southern China through an enormous network of waterways. Hundreds of thousands of workers dug canals, built locks, and connected existing rivers. Grain from the fertile south could now feed northern cities and armies. Trade expanded dramatically. Although many laborers suffered under difficult working conditions, the Grand Canal became one of history's greatest engineering accomplishments. Even today, large sections remain in use after more than 1,400 years. The fall of the Sui dynasty. Despite its remarkable achievements, the Sui dynasty collapsed almost as quickly as it had risen. Massive construction projects required enormous taxes and forced labor. The emperor launched costly military campaigns against the Korean kingdom of Goguryeo. Several invasions ended in disaster. Thousands of soldiers died. Peasant revolts spread throughout the empire. In 618, the Sui dynasty fell. Yet its greatest accomplishments did not disappear. Instead, they became the foundation for an even greater empire. The rise of the Tang Dynasty. The Tang Dynasty was founded by Li Yuan, who became Emperor Gaozu of Tang. His son, Emperor Taizong, soon transformed China into one of history's greatest superpowers. Taizong encouraged talented officials regardless of their family background. Government positions increasingly depended on education and ability. Military victories expanded China's borders deep into Central Asia. Foreign ambassadors arrived from Persia, India, Korea, Japan, and even the Byzantine Empire. China had become one of the most influential civilizations on earth. Chang'an, the greatest city in the world, the Tang capital, Chang'an, became the largest city on earth. More than 1 million people lived inside its massive walls. Wide avenues divided carefully planned neighborhoods. Markets overflowed with silk, spices, precious stones, perfumes, ivory, horses, glassware, and exotic foods brought from distant lands. Merchants from Arabia, Persia, India, Central Asia, and Southeast Asia walked its crowded streets. Temples, mosques, Buddhist monasteries, and foreign communities existed side by side. Few cities in history were as international as Tang-era Chang'an. The golden age of culture. The Tang Dynasty is often considered the greatest age of Chinese literature. Poets such as Li Bai and Du Fu created works still studied more than 1,000 years later. Painting flourished. Music evolved by combining Chinese traditions with influences from Central Asia. Printing technology advanced, allowing books to become more widely available. Scientific discoveries continued in astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and engineering. Chinese porcelain became one of the world's most valuable luxury goods. Many historians describe the Tang Dynasty as China's cultural renaissance. Myth versus reality. Did the Tang invent gunpowder? Many people believe gunpowder was invented specifically as a weapon. In reality, Chinese alchemists accidentally discovered it while searching for an elixir of immortality. During the late Tang period, experiments mixing sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter produced an explosive powder. At first it was used mainly for fireworks, religious ceremonies, and signaling. Only centuries later did gunpowder become an important military technology. This accidental discovery would eventually transform warfare across the world. Wu Zetian, China's only female emperor. One of the most remarkable rulers in Chinese history was Wu Zetian. She remains the only woman ever to rule China as emperor in her own name. Originally entering the palace as a concubine, Wu Zetian gradually rose through intelligence, political skill, and determination. She expanded education, supported agriculture, encouraged talented officials, and strengthened the examination system, although later historians often criticized her harsh methods. Modern scholars recognize her as one of China's most capable rulers. Her reign challenged traditional ideas about leadership and power. The beginning of decline. No golden age lasts forever. In AD 755, the powerful general and Lushan launched a massive rebellion against the Tang government. The conflict became one of the deadliest wars in human history. Millions died from fighting, famine, and disease. Although the Tang Dynasty survived, its authority was permanently weakened. Regional governors gained increasing independence. Corruption spread once again. In AD 907, after nearly 3 centuries of remarkable achievements, the Tang Dynasty finally collapsed. China entered another era of political fragmentation. Conclusion: the Sui reunited China. The Tang transformed it into one of the world's greatest civilizations. Their achievements shaped Chinese culture for centuries. The Grand Canal connected the empire. Chang'an became the world's largest city. Poetry, science, trade, religion, and technology flourished like never before. Yet beyond China's borders, new powers were rising. Nomadic empires, neighboring kingdoms, and changing trade routes would reshape Asia once again. In the next chapter, we will explore the Song Dynasty, innovation, invention, and the birth of medieval China, where paper money, compasses, printing, and new technologies would change the world forever.